San Francisco, as well as Mr. Adrian Vichital, board member of Tachium and also managing partner of a London-based investment fund IPM. Hello, gentlemen. Without further ado, Mr. Danilák will make an exceptional revelation today. So, Mr. Danilák, go on, the floor is yours.
Okay, you know, we are a company, international company, across from United States through the Europe and so on. And we work in chip design area. And what we are basically will be revealing today is the chip which is very relevant to today's conference related to basically AI. You know, what we'll be talking about that first time in history of humanity, in less than 2 years, there will be capability to simulate full capacity and in real time full human brain. Originally, it was expected 10 years from now, but you know, technology was developed which will enable that in 2 years. You will see some more information on our website on the material what we'll be presenting, and also press release, so you can supplement the information. So how we basically bring in that capability to the people is in the form of the chips which will be used in data centers. You know, your same data centers which today you are using services like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and so on. Our chip is bringing them capability to basically run that full capacity AI and provide that to a large number of the customers. One of the reasons why we are able to do it, because today, you know, if you are using Facebook, you probably don't use the Facebook in the middle of the night and 2 a.m. morning. You know, the systems are built in data center for maximum demand, and over 24 hours, they are used less than 30–40% of the time. And we are bringing technology which unifies AI with conventional servers and equipment which is very costly, which is today underutilized, will be able to be deployed for bringing that AI to masses. Now, you know, as the data center are progressing, you know, everybody knows they grow about 15% per year, Facebook and everybody else. That actually means that if something grows 15% per year, that means it doubles every 5 years or quadruple in 10 years. But very few of you guys know maybe that in 2016, all these data centers which are providing services which you love consume 40% more energy than United Kingdom. And it was approximately 2% of total energy. So if you fast forward that to 2030, 10% of human energy will be sunk in data center, and by 2040 it will be 40%, which is clearly, you know, a limit where the people can go. So the last piece of today's announcement is that compute technology, which was developed, actually reduces that power by factor 10 times. So ability for mankind to consume that kind of technology and continue growing that will be basically significantly extended by reducing the power. So these are kind of main topics of today's announcement.
Thank you very much. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would like to add another aspect which is related to this conference. It's digital security of critical infrastructure. Europe simply does not have their own infrastructure in terms of chips. All chips you are using or the power plants are using, nuclear power plants are using, are not made in EU. Europe is now considering to build up their own infrastructure. It is a part of the many policies which are being now developed. What is changing? It is the topic of the day, and this chip is has the ability to be a European chip. Rado, born in Slovakia, And many teams here in Europe can ally with the European policies in terms of cyber security and in terms of independence of Europe in this sector, maybe.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the floor, ladies and gentlemen? If not at the moment, the question that comes to my mind immediately is that I understand as a non-IT that we are speaking of a thing which is better, bigger, faster than the previous stuff. What are some practical implications? Will I be able to browse Facebook with my grandkids in 2030 as safe with lower energy, or what are the main implications for me as a common guy, as a citizen?
Good question. So basically, you know, features and capabilities are rapidly expanding, and without technology, what we brought, you know, the innovation and this new technology will have to slow down because kind of lack of the energy. However, there is different aspect. Today, you know, in China, AI, like used by Alibaba, Tencent, and so on, it's very expensive endeavor, and very few can afford to use the AI technology in their, you know, solving the problems of today. And our technology is reducing the cost of AI and opening for everybody. So the things which was today reserved only for largest companies which can afford hundreds of millions of dollars, thanks to our chip, you will be able to rent from Amazon similar capability which today only few companies can afford. So you'll be able to, you know, solve your problem with AI assistant, which today you will not have access to.
Okay, thank you. Any questions popping onto your mind? Thank you, gentlemen.
This question to Rado. I mean, speaking of energy security of Europe, you know, practical implications of the chip, how your chip in particular would help actually boosting energy security of Europe? Give us a concrete example. What kind of problems it would address?
Okay, so you know, many countries, you know, which they are superpowers, they are making sure their critical infrastructure is secure. It's from oil, energy, water, communication, and so on. That is the reason why United States is producing own chips. China is producing own chips for critical infrastructure, so it cannot be controlled by another country. Russia is producing same thing. Israel is producing chips for critical infrastructure. Currently in Europe, we are relying on a chip of another countries, which in the past it was not problem because only very recently there is kind of tension raised between Europe and US, and now the Europe realizes that it needs technological sovereignty, where things what happened to ZT in China in the last two, 3 weeks, where basically supply of high-tech computing chips was restricted, can happen to European companies with similarly destructive effects, as it was mentioned just a few days ago. And European Union and Commission realizes that Europe longer term cannot be in position of the weakness and which needs to be solved.
So this chip would be fabricated in the EU. That's what you mean?
Part of the design is in EU. Currently, most of these chips are manufactured in Taiwan. Over time, Europe in the past realized importance of bringing manufacturing there. So there is, Germany reached with a company called AMD, a manufacturing line in Dresden. And there is strong desire in the future bring some of the manufacturing capacity to Europe. And it has to be economical, so it requires the product which will fill the fabs. So desire is there, and eventually conditions will be created where it will make economical sense.
Okay, then I misunderstood. So that the design is European. That is what is important when you say it's important to have your own design with chips.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to, for example, flagship company in US is NVIDIA. 100% of the chips are manufactured in Taiwan. Another company, you know, Qualcomm, we see ads all over the place, is US company, yet 100% of their chips manufactured in Taiwan. So similarly, you know, is the origin where the technology originates and where basically the management cells and you know, is managed from. That's basically one aspect. And second aspect is that there is a real desire to have manufacturing plants also in Europe. You know, China had a very strong desire, and a few months ago, 2-3 months ago, was announced, I think, $5 to $7 billion investment from TSMC, Taiwan manufacturing company, building one of the mega fab in China. But it's driven economically. It has to have chips which they will produce there. So once the situation will be created in Europe, which makes that economical, I would be not surprised that we might be able to see such, fab moving to Europe down the road.
Maybe I would just add that there are being discussions with TSMC on European level to attract them. It is in priorities of European policies to attract the manufacturer of this size, but it needs to be substance. And the substance is technology. So that's why it is important, not only to design, but maybe produce in the future. But it is step by step. This is one of the steps.
Sorry. That was gentleman's question. I really apologize. I keep in mind. Sir.
Sorry, Mr. Danilak, you mentioned some of the potential energy savings that could be achieved by the Tachyon project. Energy is obviously just one of the, would be a major cost component of running a data center. If I'm a data center client, sort of what, do you have a rough estimate of like roughly how much my total cost saving would be using this product?
So, we can look, for example, the public data from company like Google. They spend over $10 billion on data centers and running that. And the energy component was exceeding $1 billion. And so the reduction 10 times means $900 million savings.
Annually.
Annually.
Thank you. Madam?
Thank you for your time. So you spoke about partnerships with European countries. Any interest in the Middle East, especially with the UAE and its investment in the artificial intelligence industry?
So historically, basically Saudi Arabia reached the agreement some times ago with company, again, AMD, same company which they created manufacturing in Dresden. So the global foundries manufacturing plants are actually in Saudi Arabia, and so the manufacturing capability exists there, and over time, depending on the pricing and capacity, chips can be manufactured there. AMD is manufacturing their chips there. So it will depend on if it makes sense economically, if it's the better cost or not, but the capability is there.
I have a second question. Obviously, the founders in the semiconductor industry, they always complain, or it's a well-known fact that it's a very capital-intensive business, hardware, deep tech, the R&D development. So how are we going about funding? I mean, is this coming from primarily your own sources, or you're actually opening out to other investors?
So typically, chip business is capital intensive. My previous company called Senforce, if people are using MacBook Air, what do you note? That MacBook Air is very thin because it doesn't have hard drive. And so the chips which allows solid-state storage to be deployed was produced by my previous company, which was sold for $377 million. For getting this chip out, it was about $50 million, which was spent on development. So again, this is capital-intensive program where we get, first round of investment from our investors from Europe, which we found to be more flexible than investment in other places, and is being followed by another round of investment by end of this year, about $30 million to get the prototypes of these chips next year out.
Thank you. Are there further questions? If not, so we are just on time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy your GLOBSEC.
And please go to our website in like hour from now. You will have all this information, what we have been talking, press release, some picture, and preso material will be available on our website.